Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really pleased to be with such excellent colleagues. I use primarily spatiality and time scaling in my work to portray long-term environmental changes and linking both to historical data, looking at the past, as well as the projected data in terms of environmental states, so into the future in a speculative way. And I will shortly present my latest installation, Ingen manns land in Norwegian. It means no man's land, which is a sound installation. It's a constantly changing speculative soundscape that highlights issues, particularly of deforestation, resource extraction, habitat loss, species extinction, and natural versus artificial life. It uses sound material that's based on field recordings made in old growth forest. And the focus is in particular on the rainforest that once lined much of the west coast of Norway. Today, only fragments remain of these rainforests, and it's on the red list of endangered habitat types. 80% of the coastal rainforest has been lost only in the past 100 years, and it's predicted to disappear completely within the next 5 decades. And despite numerous warnings of species decline and loss of biodiversity, the importance of trees for carbon capture and storage, under 4% of Norwegian forest is currently protected. And this loss of species and habitat is reflected in this installation by 80% of the sounds of birds and insects disappearing throughout the exhibition time. And when this decline reaches a tipping point, then artificial drone-like sounds start to appear and replace the sounds of natural pollinators. So this is a way of speculating where do we go when we lose so many of the natural pollinators that the natural world cannot sustain itself. So the sound material is recorded in the coastal rainforest in Norway using conventional and unconventional microphone techniques. Some are easily recognizable, like water dripping, rustling of wind and leaves, and recording of sounds that are normally not heard, like insects inside of logs and on the surface of water. I put microphones inside trees that were moving in the wind. And these are edited further so that they can be controlled and manipulated individually. And that way I can set up this speculative environment that transforms over time. And as the day of the exhibition progresses, the birds and insects go away, about 80% of them. And this corresponds to the percentage of the Norwegian rainforest disappearing. It also coincides with the assumed percentage of species that have been exterminated since the beginning of humanity. So I use research of several fields and use that to feed these generative environments that I set up in speculative ways, as well as looking at historical data for environmental status.
Hi, thank you very much for the chance to be here. It's such a pleasure. I will just outline a couple of arguments about the main statement that were made for this talk, and then I will try to make some examples with some of my works. And for that, I would like to begin with a not so short quote from the text of from Nick Bostrom, which is called the vulnerable world hypothesis, and it's something like this. It says, one way of looking at human creativity is a process of pulling balls out of a giant urn. The balls represent possible ideas, discoveries, technological inventions. Over the course of history, we have struck a great many balls, mostly white beneficial, but also various shades of gray, moderately harmful ones, and mixed blessings. The cumulative effect on the human condition has so far been overwhelming positive and may be much better still in the future. The global population has grown about 3 orders of magnitude over the last 10,000 years, and in the last 2 centuries, per capita income, standards of living, and life expectancy have also risen. What we haven't extracted so far is a black ball, a technology that invariably or by default destroys the civilization that invents it. The reason is not that we have been particularly careful or wise in our technology police. We have just been lucky. So I think that the main idea here, and which is something what I've been researching both theoretically and applied to my own work, is speculative ideas about the future of humanity, and these are very related in my own work to the work concepts of general the area of general artificial intelligence, which is the possibility of developing autonomous agents with self-conscience, and the whole implications of that. But what I would like to outline on this topic is the complex connections and our present whole set of states that of realities that we are living right now, this time, which are complex economic collapses, complex geopolitical disturbance, and a lot of variables that intersect between them. And that combined with the high developed technology scenario I think is a very, very complex thing that we must think about, we must think about it.
Hello to all, and this is a very interesting space and a very good excuse to think about what we all know, that the danger we have here already. It's right there. The ecological problems we are facing, and to think about one's own work in terms of what is happening, because normally I, as an artist, I am always submerged in my own themes, obsessions, reflections, and I've been concerned about the world, especially about listening to the world in the past, and many of my works deal with that. I'm trying to help the people to open their ears and listen better and more carefully to all the sounds, existing sounds, and many of my works deal with that. And on the other hand, very concerned on the past, on obsolescence, on as an artist, I have many works that deal with things that are not useful anymore, but that's still beautiful, or that they can have meaning. But I will maybe, if there's a time, talk about a work that I did 1.5 years ago, but I'm still working on it. It's an installation and a sound archive about rescuing tapes from the past, and reel-to-reel records from the past. But then, what about the future? No, how can we make works of art being more emphatic on preserving our planet? And I think that the younger generations are much more concerned with that, and I think that we have an obligation to deal with that. I mean, to try to concentrate also on ways of expressing and communicating and concerning people and doing better things to save the planet. No, so that's just for now. And please, I pass the microphone to the next artist.
Well, now it will be my turn to talk about something that I have been working lately. Is a proposal that I'm doing in collaboration actually with Frank. I told him that I was going to talk about this, and it's called Livello del mare estremo, no terraferma. It's a proposal we're working for next year for the city of Venice. And basically what we're trying to do here, and this deals with this idea of really trying to think about our space and the way we perform our lives as humans within the situations that are going on with the planet, deals with trying to work in the exhibition space as well as in the city of Venice, this idea of how the level of the sea is going to go up eventually, and how the fauna that is now under the water, so to speak, and that we cannot hear per se, is going to be above maybe even to a level of our ear level. So the cell materials is based on 360 spherical above water recordings of the Venice lagoon and canals, but also underwater recordings, including recordings of local sound producing fish and other fauna, such as trout, sea bass, gilthead, sea bream, and others. We're in the process of doing this. The prototype is going to be made in Norway, and then is going to be used with sounds from the actual lagoon in Venice that we're going to make the actual piece work. And I would like to share really fast these ideas that we've been working with. This is the city of Venice. And we got just a space eventually just to make the renders and to start thinking about how this could be worked. This is another view of the city. One of the canals, and how you can see how the buildings are quite close together. And here we did the proposal that put some kind of a directional speaker that will be projecting the sound towards the other side of the canal and back. So this way the passersby will actually listen to the recordings taken from the canal and the lagoon, and this will be help us create awareness, so to speak, of what is going on with the situation in Venice. And specifically this artwork will help us explore other areas where the level of the sea will be moving, and it could be either Norway, could be Spain, could be Mexico. So each place that we may work with this project, Livello del mare estremo, no terraferma, will allow us to approach the situation also in collaboration with scientists and other specialists. In this case, as I said, it's a collaboration between Frank and myself. Now I invite everybody to come into the center of a conversation in a way, and to have 5 minutes maybe where we could maybe talk each other about what we're doing together. So if we could just be the four of us together, it will be very good.
Well, my own experience working with scientists, and also with some of these works that are, in a sense, public friendly, I mean, easily accessible for people to experience, especially another installation that I'm doing in collaboration with Crista Caballero that concerns the environmental health based on bird population numbers and bird behavior. And it's a work that's fairly easy for people to relate to, because we all relate to birds most places on the planet. But and that's a work that's helped really create awareness of the situation of birds. So people who experience that work say that they become much more aware. But also the scientists that I work with, there are thousands of articles on environmental changes going on that are being published every year, but so many of them in scientific journals that have a very small readership. And I think art there has quite an important role to play as a link between the science and the public. So presenting the data in a more experiential way, so that you can actually kind of feel and hear and see changes being made. I can refer to my own work where I do the time scaling, where I can put 100 years of change into a 6-hour exhibition day, for instance. So you can have the historical state of the environment that I portray in the morning, and in the afternoon, you will have the futuristic, speculative environment that comes out of that.
Well, about awareness, which is very important, listening awareness. Although I did a work about rescuing recordings that people do in the past, I think that these kind of works also are important, because with the technology, we can record things. We can record soundscapes, but people are not doing that because they're doing videos. I mean, at one point in the 80s, with the mini cassette tape recorders that the reporters used, some people also use them, or in the 70s with the bigger one, cassette recorders, people were recording things, they were listening. And now with the video capabilities and the Instagram and the photography, and we are deaf again. People are deaf, they're not listening. They're doing videos, but they're not listening. Even the music, it's always in the background. So technology has been bad in a way for our ears, because we are again more visual than oral. So I think that these kind of works, I mean, we have to keep thinking of awareness, no, in all kinds of works. I mean, sometimes it's more political, and sometimes it's just about the senses, no, about doing things for the senses that the technology is not helping with.
Yes, I think, I don't know if Edmar wants to add also, but I think from the position of Frank about talking about this time scaling within an exhibition space with his projects, to this awareness and deafness that we have now that Manuel is mentioning, we have to work some kind of way. And I don't know, in that sense, if Edmar, from your perspective, what could you add?
Yeah, well, I think that that's the main topic, awareness. Not aware, I think, but awareness from the people in charge. I mean, from the political publics, because uh, um, scientists, people in technology, and also artists, I think they are doing efforts. They are doing real work in order to make this all this stuff visible. And also I would like to add that I personally think that science fiction and post-human thinking has been overlapped. We are right now at a time where all those ideas, all those concepts are almost are overpassed. I mean, technological development, the situation about the climate change, the geopolitical issues. I think we are actually in a new complete era, and all these efforts from artistic research and scientific research and technological research, I think they could be they could be summed up in order to make the people in charge to really become aware of the problems.
Yes. Yes, well, maybe Frank doesn't know, but Edmar and Manuel and I are part of a art research group called Practices Research in the Arts, Transdisciplinary and Sound. And even though each one of us has different kind of trajectories in terms of research themes, we have all these common elements. It is like we do practice as a way of exploring and making, building new knowledge, and we work with sound. And I don't know, this format is difficult to really get into a dialogue, but I think, I don't know, we will have to give a space to, we were thinking about have each one of us 1 minute to try to conclude in such a short time, and within the space of this electronic garden at Ars Electronica that Leonardo is putting together, and us as part of this kind of a Mexican head of Leonardo, the Leonardo Laser Talks Mexico, and in this case Frank as a special guest. But what we could try to add in order to not to conclude, because this is just starting a conversation, but to thinking about the public that may be seeing this video now, what we can say as a practitioners and researchers in terms of the time we're living in. I think what Edmar just said sets the tone, as well as what with what Manuel said before about the deafness of our era, or the need to understand time. Otherwise, you don't engage on the here and now, which is a little bit what Frank also said, and what I'm trying to do also with this kind of a collaborative project. Like to try to bring this awareness without stopping, without leaving art outside. This could be educational, but this is not the main part of our artwork. Our artwork has an independency as an artistic proposal. I don't know who will like to take from there.
Well, just as a quick conclusion, I think that this tendency, which I have been seen recently about the speculative thinking, if I can call that, I think it also needs to become some kind of a speculative research, because it's a need, and I think that one of the best possible approaches to it could be just the systemic thinking, because this is a very, very complex scenario, the one we are dealing with. And I think that the systemic thinking is a very good tool in order to include all the variables, all the causes, all the facts that are guiding us to the reality we are living now. And I repeat it now, but we are in a complete new era. Technology has completely overpassed. We may not be completely aware of that, but is a reality, and we must. I think that we have to deal with that.
Thank you, Manuel or Frank. Each one of you, who would like to take?
Well, very quickly, I think that we have to be political in every way. Globally. Political, is not as a political party. I hate the politicians. We have, as citizens, we have to be more political in our work, in our daily life, and our actions, as teachers, as professors, as parents, and political in terms of the planet, of the ecology, of the well-being, of social justice. But it's not anymore about the left and the right. It's about something new, about being a citizen of the world and equalness. So I think that this has to be everywhere, and somehow.
Okay, thank you. And finally, Frank, do you have something to help us?
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's very important, as Edmar points out, to show the complexity and that so many things connect, and so many things affect other things, and raising that awareness that political decisions affect what technology is controlling us, for instance, and in which direction environmental remedies are moving. Creating that awareness is very crucial. And also Manuel mentioned obsolescence and how, and I think that's very important to have into it because of the historical perspective. And you have to kind of, because things are happening so fast and extinctions are happening so fast. And now you have a generation that is used to the number of the biodiversity that we have now. But it was very different only 20 years ago. And I remember many more birds in the spring and in the fall than we have now. And that is my reference. And those who are growing up now, they have a completely different reference with much lower bird population, for instance. So it's also those historical references that you find also in obsolete technology and historical references, but also the science fiction speculative sense of technology into the future, showing the complexity of that. And I think that's very important also to raise awareness.
Yes. Well, time's up for all of us, but this is the heart of Leonardo Laser Talks Mexico. I hope and it's confirmed that we're going to keep on doing these spaces. We're going to open up these spaces more often from the Mexican perspective to present not just what is being done in terms of practice and research and arts and science, but also with inviting, as we have done in other initiatives, art researchers from other parts of the globe, so we can have a dialogue and communication among us. And well, in terms of this very short talk, the idea was to have this speculative dialogue with 4 voices, so to speak. We're going to anyway have the web pages of each one of us there at the end on the credits, and I'm sure that at least starting to pose these questions about where are we, or how we got here, or is really a way out or not, and is art good for that or not, are questions that we have all the time, and are questions that we pass also to our students and other younger researchers that we are, and artists that we are in contact with. So let's say that maybe we're building this emergency exit for the time being, at least. But I really appreciate the participation, the quick participation of all of you, of Manuel Rocha Iturbide, Edmar Olivares Soria, and Frank Ekeberg in this very quick dialogue as part of the Leonardo Laser Talks and Ars Electronica 2021. Thank you.